Hello guys, today I'll be showing you how to create this type of effect on Capcut.
Because today is a very special day and I'm very excited to potentially unveil my second dream watch.
It's super easy and looks amazing when done right, so make sure to follow each step carefully. Let's get started. Alright guys, so the first thing you need to do is import and arrange your footage in Capcut. Before we get into the effect, it's important to scan through your clips and find the exact part you want to use for masking. Try to choose a frame where the object or subject you want to mask has a clean, smooth shape. Avoid frames where the object has too many sharp edges or an irregular shape like a square or something too complex, because those can make the masking process much harder and less clean. So once you found the part that looks best for masking, you're going to use that as your starting frame. Now freeze that frame. This will be the base for your mask. In Capcut, you can do this by selecting the frame and tapping on Freeze Frame to lock it in place. This will make the next steps much easier and cleaner. After you bring the freeze frame clip to the overlay track, you'll also need to do the same with your main video, the one that shows the full movement, like the watch in this case. Once both clips are in place, go ahead and cut the freeze frame to match the timing you need. Next, duplicate the freeze frame so we have a second copy to work with. This is important for the masking step. Now we're going to start the masking process. For this, I recommend using the pen tool. It gives you the most control, especially when you're working with objects that don't have smooth or rounded edges. The pen tool lets you manually trace around the object for a much cleaner and more precise mask. So go ahead and start masking your object carefully using the pen tool. Once you've finished masking the watch dial using the pen tool, go ahead and invert the mask. This way, you'll keep everything in the frame except the watch dial. We're doing this because later we'll need that dial to cover or close the video of the person, creating a clean and smooth transition. Now, let's move on to some animation. We'll be adding keyframes to create a zoom out effect, which helps make the transition more dynamic and visually appealing. Make sure to add keyframes at the beginning and end of the zoom out, and adjust the scale and position slightly to give it that movement. After that, don't forget to smoothen out your keyframes by adjusting the speed graph or using the ease in and ease out options. This will make the motion feel more natural and professional. Now we'll need to duplicate the same freeze frame of the watch dial, the part that includes the surroundings of the dial. We're doing this because we'll be using it to create the sliding dial effect, where the dial comes in and smoothly closes the video. Just make sure to remove any existing keyframes from the duplicate clip so we can start fresh. Alright, so after duplicating the freeze frame of the watch surroundings, we now have a second copy of that same mask clip. But this time, we actually need the dial of the watch, not the surrounding area. So what I'm going to do is simply invert the mask. As you can see, now we've isolated the watch dial perfectly. Next, let's arrange our layers properly in the timeline. Now it's time to animate the dial itself. Here's the key part. We want the animation of the dial to begin only after the surrounding part of the watch has completed its zoom out animation. So make sure to position your clips carefully. Once the background animation finishes, start animating the dial by adding keyframes to bring it in smoothly. Now, since we want the clip of the person talking to continue right up until the watch dial fully closes, we're going to extend that clip slightly so it lines up perfectly. Next, let's review the animation to make sure everything looks smooth. Once you're happy with how the effect is coming together, it's time to clean things up. We'll now trim any parts we don't need from the animation. Specifically, we're going to cut both the mask clips, the dial and the surrounding, right at the final keyframe where the dial finishes closing. After that frame, we want the normal video to resume without any masking or animation. So by cutting the clips at that exact moment, we ensure a clean transition back into the main video. Now, to make the transition from the watch animation into the main video feel more impactful, we're going to add a subtle shake and glow effect. This will enhance the visual experience and make the transition pop. For this, I'm using an effect called Vibration Flash. It gives us that nice shake along with a glowing flash that really sells the moment. I'll be adjusting the speed, strength, glow, and range settings of the effect to get the look just right. You can copy the exact values I use to recreate the same feel in your own edit. Finally, I'll trim the effect at the end because we only want it to appear once, exactly when the transition happens. This keeps everything clean and avoids overusing the effect. Now to take the video to the next level and really enhance the overall feel, I'm going to add a music track that fits the vibe of the effect. I'll start by marking the beat of the song using markers. Once the beat is marked, I'll drag the transition point of our animation and align it precisely with the beat marker. This helps sync the visuals with the audio, making the transition feel much more impactful. To improve the visual quality even more, I'm going to do some color grading. I'll adjust brightness, contrast, saturation, and more to give the video a cinematic feel. You can copy the exact adjustments I made if you want the same look. Finally, during the zoom out animation of the watch surroundings, I want to add a motion blur effect to make it feel more dynamic. Capcut doesn't have a built-in motion blur, but we can mimic the effect using the vertical blur effect. Here's how to do it. Add the vertical blur effect to the clip. Then set a keyframe at the start of the zoom out with the blur amount at 0. In the middle of the animation, increase the blur amount to around 52. And when the zoom out ends, bring the blur back down to 0 using another keyframe. This will give a nice, smooth motion blur effect that enhances the transition. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the content from Pro Growth and found it helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more editing tips and effects like this. Make sure to check out the previous tutorials I've uploaded. There's a lot you can learn from them. And if you want more videos in English, just drop a comment down below. See you in the next one.